Hey, all right, let's talk some hockey. Possibly for the final time of the year. Is it? We'll find out. Let's get to my notes. Stanley Cup Final, Game 6, Florida at Edmonton. Florida leads series 3-2. It's Friday, June 21st, 2024, for the historical record. And here we go. First period. 12 minutes and 33 seconds remaining, so about 8 minutes into the period there. Edmonton opens the scoring with a goal from Fogle off a neutral zone turnover. Sorry, handwriting as always. Neutral zone turnover, and then Draisaitl with a nice feed to Fogle for the goal there, and it's 1-0 Edmonton. And then a little bit of special team stuff. I ain't get into that much this game, and you'll see why when we get to the end, or just as we go along here. So look at which of my notes to ignore. And other than again, there was some power plays and some penalty killing and some 4-on-4, and oh no, that wasn't until later. Anyway, generally, as we've seen this series, penalty killing across the board, both teams, pretty excellent. So, moving on into the second period. 19-14 remaining, so, or not remaining, remaining. Yes, nothing. That would have been a big time jump. Like, what happened the whole period? All right. Sorry, let me fix this because it's gonna mess the lighting if I don't. All right. 19-14, less than a minute into that second period. Edmonton comes out firing all cylinders and will score a goal. Adam Henrique. It's a bad change for Florida, bad line change. And then Henrique and Janmark just get it going through the neutral zone. And then Janmark gets a nice pass and a 2-on-1. And Henrique buries it, so 2-0 Edmonton. And then at 14:04 remaining in the period, so a couple minutes later, Florida will score a goal from Barkov. Or will they? Because that goal will be challenged for an offside. And looking at the replay as they're showing it, I'm looking at it, trying to adjust my auto settings always bug me. Anyway, even I was looking at the replay, I was like, man, that's real borderline, and it's gonna be like that call could go either way. And even on the broadcast I was watching in the States, the ESPN broadcast, they went to Dave Jackson, his former official, who they'll often consult on calls like this to see what his opinion on it is. And even he said that, this one you're gonna need to look at like the overhead angle, which he said the league has. And I'm like, does broadcast not have that angle? Because showing that in-house would probably help the fans not be so upset, depending on how that call goes, or vice versa, whatever. Because as I would find out, I don't know when they started doing this. It must be a more recent thing. I don't remember it from the last time I watched a finals, Stanley Cup final matchup. I guess for the final, the Situation Room, normally in Toronto for reviews like this, is actually now located on site in the arena upstairs, like in the press box. So, that Situation Room call, looking at all of the angles, apparently some of which we don't get to see on broadcast. That I found weird. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. The because eventually, right before they actually call it, is they're still talking to Dave Jackson about the possible call here, and as he says, like, with these angles at least that I'm looking at, like, it's too close to call, and since the original call on the ice was that it was a good goal and a good play, it's like it might stand just because I don't know if there's enough evidence to flip it, at least from what we're seeing. And as he pointed out right last second, well, they, you know, if you looked at the overhead, I'm sure we could tell. And like, well, NHL has that angle on it. So I'm like, why don't we have that angle? Why aren't they playing on the, like, it just, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Either way, it's called an offside and therefore no goal. And it still remains 2-0 Edmonton. And that was a bit of a turning point in the game, as you can imagine. With Florida getting that goal called back, it definitely, I think, maybe affected their game a little bit moving on from there. But hey, you know, great teams, especially in this situation, look at it and be like, hey, you know, it's unfortunate, but let's go get it back. So we'll see how Florida responds. After that, there's some 4-on-4 for a bit, doesn't go anywhere. Another power play for Florida that gets killed off because that's what Edmonton's been doing. Well, both teams have been excellent on their penalty kill, as they were tonight. With that, with 1:40 remaining in the second, so right before the end of the second there, Edmonton, it's another goal, this time from Hyman, with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had a shot block, like at the point, and then just took one of those weird bounces, basically right to Hyman, already in motion in the neutral zone. So he just takes off with it, just blows past the defenders, gets into a breakaway, and just one-on-one with Bobrovsky, and just, you know, makes a nice, just, forehand, backhand shot to beat Bobrovsky like mid-blockers. Beautiful goal. So, with that, ending the second period, it's 3-0 Edmonton. And as a little intermission note here, no team in the 2024 playoffs has had a three goal third period comeback in all the playoffs this year. So, that in mind, going to the third period. See if Florida can become the first team to do that and maybe win a Stanley Cup in the process. So, here we go. Third period. A lot on the line. And 18:32 remaining in the period, so a minute and a half in. Florida gets a goal from Barkov. This time it's allowed. This time Barkov leads, no doubt. He takes it to the net by himself, dekes around Skinner. Like, this borderline reminded me a little bit of the Darren McCarty cup clinching goal in '97. It wasn't quite as pretty, but it was kind of similar a little bit in terms of just the dangle. And it wasn't really even a fancy one. It was just a real big left to right or right, you know, movement like that to get the goalie out of position. So Barkov really did. Just took it around Skinner and just put it in. I did time and patience plus Barkov's reach all executed perfectly on this goal. So that Fleury gets on the board officially this time. So 3-1 Edmonton. And then there's some power plays for both teams that are killed off. And with it still being a 3-1 game, about 3.5 minutes on the clock, Florida's going to pull Bobrovsky out of the net. But then about 10 seconds later, Edmonton's going to take advantage of that because Florida has not really been able to keep a hold of the puck most of this game, or the last 3 games for that matter. Hence why the series has gone the way it has. And Edmonton from McLeod will throw it in the empty net. And it's 4-1 Edmonton. And of course, modern hockey being what it is, that gets resolved. Play gets back going. Florida gets possession again. Pulls Bobrovsky again. And Skinner ends up playing the puck behind the net to Nurse, who just rips it from the zone and that one also hits the empty net. So, that's a 5-1 lead now for Edmonton off those last 2 empty net goals. And yeah, that would be your final score in the game. Be 5-1 Edmonton. To make the tie the series 3-3, obviously. And with that, Edmonton becomes only the third team in NHL history to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0 in the series. Of course, only one of those teams has won that Game 7, and that would be Toronto in 1942, when they pulled off that comeback against these here Detroit Red Wings. And also in the history of the NHL, since there's been a 7-game format, in all the playoffs, not just the finals, only 9 teams have been down 3-0 and come back to force that Game 7. Granted, out of those 9, I think only 4 have ever actually won that, so your odds are a little less than 50-50. That may change after Game 7. Who knows? Yeah, and since I've been naming MVPs for the games, this one, I actually, again, I always cheat on these, or I had been a lot. I just gave it to Edmonton's entire defense. Not their blue line, just their entire team defense. I thought was probably the difference maker in this game. Especially early on in the game, Edmonton was just shutting down Florida's shot attempts. For like the first half of this game, there was a huge shot discrepancy in favor of Edmonton. By the end of the game, it would even back out, but early on, Edmonton's defense was keeping Florida out of this game. With the combination of Skinner, I think I have. I haven't finished the thumbnail picture yet, but I know I took it for this. Is one of Skinner's nice saves. It was actually late in the game, that one. Just a nice little poke check. Or actually, the thumbnail doesn't do it justice, just because of the highlights of like the double poke checking that he did to keep that puck out. But anyway, yeah. Also, a little minor note: Connor McDavid, 0 points tonight on the board. So, he has any chance of moving up more in the record books for a single season postseason performance in terms of points, he'd have to have a pretty spectacular Game 7 to. Again, I don't think he can catch Gretzky. I think there's too big of a gap there between McDavid currently in 4th and wherever Gretzky's at in 1st. It's a gap. Possible if McDavid has a multi-point game, he could move into 3rd, possibly. I don't have to look at the numbers again. It doesn't really matter at this point. Because yeah, I think we're all getting that feeling, especially if you look at some of the numbers lately. Even if, with the exception of something ridiculous, like a double overtime game where Bobrovsky has 50-something saves, maybe he's back in the conversation then. Because it felt like for a little while here, the last couple of games, the Conn Smythe has been a 2-horse race. It's either Bobrovsky or it's either McDavid. And at this point, even if Edmonton loses Game 7, it might still be McDavid getting the Conn Smythe on a losing team. We may see that this year. Who knows? Anyway, Game 7 is Monday night. So, June 24th. Off the top of my head, I didn't write that down. Just know it because I think this might be. I'll have to double check. I think this. I don't know if it's the record. It's not, because I think some of the weird bubble stuff that happened with COVID moving the schedules. But in a roughly regular normal season, I think this might be a new record for the latest in the year the Stanley Cup's been awarded. Because it will be awarded on the 24th, no matter what. I think it might be the record for the latest in the year. Or again, that's not because of the weird seasons we had with the bubble and the stoppage and all that. But it will hold the record, I think, for me personally, as far as I know. I'll double check at some point. It'll be the record for the Stanley Cup that will be awarded the closest possible to my birthday, which is on the 26th, Wednesday. So 2 days off, but the only way that could be better is if they somehow manage to find a way to have the Stanley Cup be awarded on my birthday and to the Red Wings. One of these days, we'll get that to come. All those will line up. And then I will die, and that will be it. The day after. Or the day after the parade, so give it a couple days. Anyway, there's my dire prediction for that stuff. And that is the end of my notes there. Yeah, so, we're going to Game 7. And I don't know what's going to happen or who's going to win. I knew before the series started, before the puck even dropped on Game 1, I was like, we got Florida and Edmonton. No matter which of those two teams wins this, it's going to be a very interesting story. And that's what I said before the puck dropped in Game 1. And I thought this would be a 7-game series then. I didn't think we'd get here like this. I don't think anyone expected any of the what happened to happen. But it's happened, and here we are. Where now it feels like it is Florida's series to lose. And I think all the pressure is on them at this point, with the way Edmonton's been playing the last 3 games. It's going to be very interesting. So, we'll see what happens. And I'll see you then for the coverage of the final hockey game. For sure this time, no matter what, of the season will be on Monday night. Definitely dawned on me, I think before puck drop on Game 6, like, hey, this will be the final game of this season played in Canada this year, no matter what. So, there was that. Yep, fun game to watch. It's been a great series to watch, and then you can't ask for a much better ending than what we're getting. Because a lot of people, myself included, before the series said this will be a 7-game series. Just had a hunch, like, these are 2 pretty good match teams. I could see it going 7. A lot of other people said that. No one said that, well, I think Florida will win the first 3 games and then Edmonton will come back because Florida will fall apart. No one saw any of this coming. It's one of the more interesting finals I've ever watched that haven't involved the Red Wings. And even then, a lot of times the Wings are in the finals. It's not as crazy as this unless it's 2009, which is a year that Red Wings fans don't like to talk about. Anyway, I'll stop rambling so I can get this wrapped up, and you know what? I have another video to record anyway, because it's one of those double headers where I got to cover hockey and some Doctor Who stuff, so I have to move on and go talk about that season finale, which is a big deal. And then, of course, Monday night will be our big season finale for hockey for the year, at least till the season starts up again, in September, October-ish. Of course, there'll be plenty of off-season things to talk about. Usually around July 1st. I'm sure I'll be around with a video then. A very busy off-season, I suspect, for a number of teams. Of course, I'll usually be keeping an eye on the Red Wings, but anyway, I won't ramble too much. I'm sure I'll save that for post-Game 7 thoughts. We'll save it for then. So anyway, I'm out. Peace.